welcome to Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. I am super excited to talk to Jason Jones today. Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm great.
I know we see each other today.
Yeah, finally.
Finally.
Technology has been keeping us apart.
It has been. It almost got us today, but we persevered.
Yeah, we did.
Cool. So I'm just going to read your bio, Jason, and then we're just going to chat for a little bit. Does that work for you?
That works great.
Perfect. So Jason Jones is a Le Cordon Bleu. Did I say that right?
You did. Le Cordon Bleu.
Le Cordon Bleu trained chef, having worked in Los Angeles, Vail, New York City, Austin, and his hometown, Houston, Texas. As a private chef for high net worth individuals, some of his clients included George and Barbara Bush, Steve Wynn, Muhammad Ali, and the guy Dick Cheney accidentally shot, Harry Whittington. Yeah. Realizing too late in life that he should have been an architect, Jason's interest in real estate started with a hobby of buying and restoring mid-century modern homes. He has a passion and strong appreciation for modern and contemporary design, having a knack for recognizing emerging markets and quality investments. He decided to leave the food industry to work in real estate full time. As a realtor, Jason's business model is based on social entrepreneurship. For every deal he closes, he donates 20% of his commission to his client's charity of choice. It is important to him to be able to give back to nonprofits, both monetarily and as a volunteer. He works seasonally as a volunteer sit-ski instructor for disabled adults and children through National Sports Center for the Disabled, and is a member of the board of directors for Redline Contemporary Art Center in RiNo. Passionate about skiing, mountain climbing, hiking, and camping, Jason and his wife, Mary Helen, moved to Denver in 2014 to be closer to the mountains and the lifestyle they love. Welcome, Jason.
Glad to be here.
That's awesome. So you went from a chef to a realtor. So tell me about that journey and what made you decide to make that decision for your life.
I had been buying and restoring homes and then paying realtors to sell them for me. So it was kind of cutting into my margin and the profit that I was earning. And so I said, well, I don't want to be a chef anymore after being locked in the kitchen for 30 years. So
wow,
I decided,
30 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, I've been in that industry a long, long time. And I'm a people person. I'm more of a people person than I've ever been in my life. So I decided I wanted to be out of kitchens and start interacting with people. But I got a real estate license and started selling homes here in the Denver area a couple of years ago. And it was just after being in kitchens for so long, it was something that I wanted to make my own schedule. I didn't want to be beholden to someone else making their money for them, right? And have a life, because I haven't had a life for about 30 years. I've worked every holiday, every weekend, nights, in my private chefing days. Sometimes I was gone for months at a time.
Wow.
And I didn't get to watch her grow up per se because I was gone a lot. So it was a nice change because it's an interest that I've always had, which is real estate. So that's how I got into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
gotcha. Go ahead.
How did I become a social entrepreneur on that?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
So when I got licensed, I didn't really, and no offense to anyone, but I didn't really want to be, you know, with my social media and stuff. I didn't really want to be like, hey, else doing today, and those things are all important, but still, Oh, there you are.
Yep,
Okay.
I got you.
Disappeared. So I was like, what's going to be my angle? How am I going to differentiate myself from other realtors, and what can I do? And at first I thought, well, I'll do kind of the chef thing. I'll say, hey, if you list a home through me or buy a home with me, I'll do you a dinner party. And that's always still an option if someone wants that. But
Oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah, just trying to differentiate myself. But it occurred to me that I do so much volunteer work, and I'm on the board of 2 different organizations, and I'm an ambassador of another one. It was like, wait a minute, why don't I already give so much volunteer time,
Right.
and I do give monetarily also. I said, hey, why don't I just give back to organizations and do some good, with what I'm doing? Because I do so much volunteer work, it just kind of aligned with who I am and what I do. It's like, well,
Right.
I would rather give back than just be a realtor. And it actually fits kind of who I am way better. And the aspect of social entrepreneurship is, once I kind of stumbled upon that idea, that aspect became more important than selling real estate.
The social entrepreneurship part.
Yes, of giving back.
Yeah.
Of giving back.
Yeah. I love that. So you volunteered a lot, you gave money a lot, and then you decided to incorporate that into your realtor business model.
I lost you to incorporate. It froze for a second.
Okay. You decided to incorporate that into your realtor business model?
Yes.
And how have your clients accepted that? Like, what are their responses?
They appreciate that. A lot of realtors give you like a cutting board or a bottle of wine once you've closed
Yeah.
the deal. So this is a little bit more significant in aspect of Denver is a special market too. So I'm from Houston, Texas, but houses are less expensive there, but the market here is really high. So when I do a deal, on average, it's $3,000 plus that I'm able to get back out of my commission.
Right.
If I sell $1 million home, that could be $5,000-6,000, and that's significant. So it's nice to be in this market and to be able to give that kind of money that it can actually make a dent, especially when people give back to kind of the small organizations that don't quite have the funding that something like Susan G. Komen might have, or muscular dystrophy or something like that. So
yeah.
But it's been received really well. And on top of that, the organizations that I'm involved in, the nonprofits, for example, like Redline Art is an organization I'm involved with. We're a modern art gallery here in Denver. We're quite large. We have a very large budget, but we are a 501c3 nonprofit.
Yeah.
And what we're all about is social change and social impact through art. So we're involved in the community quite a bit. And our whole goal is not just showcase art, but to be part of the community and youth and prison that we're in. We have our hands in a lot of things. We work with the homeless. We have built a traveling I actually get my hands on and got to build. So you've seen these tiny homes, this tiny home craze around the country, but we've sent it around the country as a model for organizations that can provide shelters for the homeless.
Oh, wow.
So we do everything, really. We have committees and everything. We're involved in everything, but it's all through art and through a modern art gallery. So it's pretty fantastic. But with them, they promote me, as do some of the other organizations I'm with. They promote me through their fun, but well, decide to use them. So it's well to generate income for them.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy.
And that's awesome. I love that concept of art and using that to help the homeless and to just bring more awareness. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great one. So
how long have they been around?
How long has Redline been around? Redline has been around for about 12 years.
Okay.
And So it's grown. It is a part of the Denver art scene. It's well known now. We're actually, it was about 3 years ago that we kind of said, hey, we've finally grown up. We're not kind of this grassroots organization anymore. We're established. We have a budget. We have board meetings, and we have real income coming in, and donations, and a following. So it's great because most of that money gets turned right back around and put into something good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what are some of the other organizations that you work with as well?
The others, so I work with the National Sports Center for Disabled, and where I spend most of my volunteer time is working with disabled adults and children.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1985, my 23-year-old brother died of muscular dystrophy. He had Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he, one thing that was important to him in the summers in Texas outside of Austin, there's a camp called Camp for All. And they serve children with every type of disability you can think of. And my brother went into a wheelchair at 7 years of age and lived the rest of his life in a wheelchair. So for him to be able to go to a camp and actually participate in activities and do other things, that was important to him. So from a young age, in the summers, I would go out on occasion and volunteer at Camp for All and do whatever I could. They have a great program. And by the way, anyone, teenagers or yourself or anyone, go out and volunteer, because they're always looking for them, and it's a really special experience to work with some of the kids that you work with. And you can do anything from swinging children to walking them on horses. They've got everything you can do out there.
Yeah.
If you're a chef, go out there and help them cook for the day, but they need the help. But it's a great organization. Look up Camp for All. Definitely.
Camp for All. Okay, we definitely will check that out.
I'm interested in that. And I've offered with by people that have lost limbs that go above and beyond what a lot of us that are able-bodied would do. So I'm really inspired by Paralympians. I'm inspired by athletes that have lost a limb. And so through Camp for All, it's just something I became interested in. And then as a kid, my father was a spine surgeon in Houston. So he and a bunch of other doctors, we would come up to Winter Park, Colorado, where the National Sports Center for Disabled is. And they would bring about 40 amputees, quadriplegics, paraplegics, because the National Sports Center for Disabled was the largest adaptive ski program in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of the first in the United States. It's still the largest. So like all the Paralympians that ski and race and all that stuff, in the Winter Olympics, they all train there. So that was kind of my first taste of that. And I've always been a big skier. I went to prep school in New Hampshire, different story, raced, skied, even though I'm from Texas. I know how to be on skis. But so we, when my wife and I moved here about 5 years ago, she got a scholarship for a master's program at DU here in Denver.
Go Pioneers. I went there.
Yeah. Oh, did you really? I did not know that. I'll have to tell her.
High five.
I will tell her that. So we moved here. We had been on the road for college, ironically in Colorado. And as soon as she left, we quit our jobs and sold our house. And we said, we're going to go camp and just live in our car and drive around the country. And maybe we'll drive down to Argentina on the Pan American Highway. And so long story short, we spent about 2 years kind of kicking around and having a good time.
Love that.
We had money in the bank. It was the best time of my life ever.
Yeah.
And we wound up in Denver. And this is a long story, but we wound up in Denver, and we didn't have any furniture. We didn't know anyone. And I said, well, you're going to school. I don't have a job yet. I don't really want to go back to chefing. So I'm going to kind of go figure out who I am and what I want to do. And I'm going to drive out to Winter Park, to this place I used to go to as a kid, and see if they have any volunteer opportunities. And so I drove out, and they did. And I got trained to teach as a sit ski instructor, which is a really scary job. There's a lot of liability in your hands when you're doing that. And So that's how it kind of all started. And I enjoyed the community and the people that I met that were, you know, paralyzed, neck down. I worked with everyone. Cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, amputees, quadriplegics, paraplegics. And I just really kind of saw a lot of stuff I'd never seen before. And
yeah.
but it really just made me feel good to be out there. And quite honestly, I needed something different in my life. I had been locked in a kitchen for a long time, and I was always a good, nice kid. But chefing made me incredibly salty, to
Yeah.
put it nicely. I was cynical. I was jaded. I was tired. I
It's hard work.
wasn't.
Chefing is hard work.
It's hard physically and mentally. And
Yeah.
I can't say that I was a very nice person when I came out of it. And I was pretty unhappy also that it's so long doing it for so little return, even though I had experiences. So going and working with disabled adults and children just started to kind of ground me and kind of bring me back to, my life's okay. And I'm I don't know. It makes me a better. And 4.5 years ago, and ever since then, I've just gone deeper and deeper into that world and made more connections in that world. And so you asked me a long time ago, that is one organization that I work with.
Yeah.
Another one we work with is called the Range of Motion Project, where my wife and I are both ambassadors, and we provide access to prosthetic and orthotic care to underserved communities. So we have operations in the United States, in Guatemala, and Ecuador. And for $1,000, everything that we raise money-wise, 100% goes back to a patient in need.
Right.
We can provide a prosthetic for $1,000 to a patient in need. In the U.S., prosthetics can run anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. So,
Wow.
especially in communities like Guatemala and Ecuador,
Yeah.
1% of the disabled population, or the 1% of amputees in Guatemala can afford a prosthetic. 99% cannot.
Wow.
So we service that 99%.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
so the Range of Motion Project, ROMP, is just this fantastic organization that in being heavily into fitness, my wife and I climb for romp. It's called Climbing for Romp. So we go court companies, they get a team together, and we go out and they raise a bunch of money, and then we go out and we climb a 14er, and we might have 50 people out there, and it's just a great way to have community and do good. And so it's a really fun thing to do out here in Colorado.
Yeah.
But actually, I was looking at some of our CrowdRise campaigns. So we have campaigns for Range of Motion Project going on all over the world at any given time. And I was looking the other day, and I saw Baylor College of Medicine has a campaign going right now.
Wow.
And the Rice University women's track team in Houston, these are all from my hometown,
Yeah.
have something going. I was like, well, they don't have mountains, but they can certainly walk or run for romp. So it's just cool. And
That's
it kind of, and all the things that I do out here kind of fit into the Denver and the mountains and the lifestyle that we do. So
right. Getting outside and just enjoying.
Yes. And celebrating our own range of motion and
Exactly.
our ability to move and helping others do it that can't always do it. So
it sounds like you found your passion. You were like, chefing is not for me anymore. Let me go figure out who I want to be. Let me go figure out how I want to give back in this world. And it sounds like you are doing exactly that. And that's amazing. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I am doing exactly what I think I was kind of built to do.
Yeah.
It took me a long time. I'm 50 now, so it took me a long time to kind of figure that out. But I don't see, this is something I'll do the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I always say, if I were a millionaire or a billionaire, the majority of the money I ever made would go back to something good. I just don't need much.
Yeah. Well, no one really does, right? And
No.
it's about just being, because we're all in this thing called life together, and it's about how we can make a kind imprint. What kind of footprint are we leaving in the world? And I love your social entrepreneurship, how you're using your realtor job to give back, and then using your time as well, because money is great. Money is amazing. A lot of those organizations need money, but they also need people to stand up and care. And it sounds like you're doing both, and that's awesome. So thank you so much for all the work that you're doing.
My pleasure. Well, and that is too much. Most of the realtors I know look at me and their jaw kind of drops. They're like, well, I don't know. It's just what I want to do. It works for me.
It's what you want
I'd
to do.
encourage you to give some back too, but whatever floats your boat. So, and I kind of, when I looked into it, my wife was the one that said, you should be a social entrepreneur. She works for Royal Bank of Canada, which actually does a lot of good in this world. I'm surprised that they're a very left-leaning company, and support PETA and all kinds of organizations that you wouldn't think a big banking organization would support.
Right.
So my wife is kind of exposed to a lot of that, and she said, you need to go into social entrepreneurship. So I looked it up, and interestingly enough, I don't find many realtors that do it, but in Austin, Texas, there is an organization called Give Back Realty. And the woman that runs that operation, she gives 25%.
Wow.
Maybe I'll up mine up one day, if I can afford to do that. So, but I read a lot of articles about her, and she makes a perfect living and is happy doing it. And obviously does organizations that are really appreciative of her for doing what she does, because without her, they couldn't do some of the things that they're able to do, because she gives back so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd say it's important, if whatever your mission is, whatever your passion is, just go for it. And if that is giving back, if that's volunteering, if that's being a social entrepreneur, whatever it is, just go for it wholeheartedly, because we are in this together and we need each other to survive. And I love exactly what you're doing. So keep it up.
Yeah. Practice kindness. That's what I always say. And to come across you through a mutual friend has been, it's kind of just my path. I think the universe provides and puts people in front of you, and there's always arrows pointing. The universe has always got arrows saying, go this way or go that way.
Right.
And when doors open easily, that's the way you should be going. So to connect with you is fabulous also, because I love what you're doing just as well. And kindness is such an important word. It is such an important word. And if we all practice kindness, what would the world be?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. If we all just practice, even if it was just to one person, I say this all the time. There are 7 billion people on the earth, right? And so if all 7 billion of us was just kind to one person, we would change the world. I mean, just one person. If we were all decided to be kind to one person, the energy, the paradigm, everything would shift. And so that's my mission for as long as I'm here, is to just spread as much joy, love, and kindness as possible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Well, thank you. The next time I'm in Denver, we need to get together.
We do.
Yeah, I think I'm coming up there in the fall. I'm not. Plans aren't set yet, but when I figure out the plans, we'll connect for sure.
Well, I'll take you on a hike.
I would love that. And as a matter of fact,
fall, we can see the colors. All the fall colors will be really pretty up in the mountains.
I know. I missed that. Like, that was just the different seasons, but especially fall was so beautiful when I was there. And so I love that aspect of it.
Great. Yeah. Please come up. It's a great time. And you're in Texas, so it's probably already like 104 there, is it not?
Luckily, we haven't had the 100-degree weather yet. It's about close to 90 today, but it's been nice. So I'm trying to hold off as much as possible before that 100-degree weather hit.
Well, come up and see us anytime.
I will. And actually, my friend Mia Voss is on watching, and y'all should connect, because she's also in Denver and she does a lot of volunteer work as well with, I think it's called Colorado Pet Pantry, and some other organizations she's involved with. So Mia and Jason, connect.
We have to get together for sure. So, well, great. Thanks for talking.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. This has been Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. I am so grateful for my guest, Jason Jones, who is a social entrepreneur doing great things. He is a realtor. So if you're looking to buy or sell, go contact him, because he gives 20% of his commission back to a charity of your choice, which I think is amazing. So Jason, thank you for being who you are. Thank you for going out there and living your passion and showing that it is possible to give back and to thrive at the very same time.
My pleasure.
You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week with another episode of Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.